Hey everyone, GuardianE here with another live reaction and first impression video for Fire Emblem Heroes. Tonight we're getting the reveal of the next legendary hero to drop into the game in just a few short days. So I have the trailer pulled up right now. We'll watch it together blind for the first time and react to it live, and then we'll watch it a second time just to review the stats and skills of the unit as well as the banner to figure out if this is a banner that I think is worth pulling for. I'm not currently looking at my screen. I will just mention before we get started that if you do enjoy the content that we put out and you would like to support the channel, please consider subscribing, leaving a like down below, and leaving a comment letting us know the types of content that you'd like to see from us going forward. With that, let's get into it. I'm gonna hit play, and then we're gonna wait for that text to leave. Alright, good. Okay, new legendary hero joins the battle. Feathers. Oh, it's DD Divine Dragon, and it's Baby Fae. That looks exactly like the regular art except with wings. Okay. Dazzling Breath, Life Unending, Distant Stance, Dragon's Ire, Defense Res Menace. Okay. Ooh, her Dragon Spite is glowing. I like the little hop she does. It's very cute. Let's see what we got here. Life Unending. So it's going to be a miracle effect. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, and she is going to be blue. Alright. These heroes also join in the event. We've got Duma going. Okay, we've got a little Roy action. Alm joining in. Got some Mila. Mirabilis. Okay. Hell as well. We got Triandra coming in. Niffle, okay. Are we gonna get Muspel as well? We got Charlotte. Nyx. Yeah, okay. And Ulir. Okay, alright. 8%, 5-star rate, as usual. And it is, of course, going to be starting on the 29th and going for about a week. Alright, so we've got Fae, Childlike Dragon. I did not see what the movement type was. I didn't actually catch that. If she's got wings, then maybe she's a flyer. Not entirely sure. Looks like she does have a unique special or a built-in miracle somewhere. But yeah, I mean, I'm okay with this. I'm not terribly, I guess, surprised or excited about it, really. And the art doesn't... The art's, like, vibrant and childlike. It has, I think, that whimsical nature to it. We can take a closer look, but it doesn't, like, wow me or anything. So let's rewind. Let's take a closer look here. So Yuji Himukai, reprising their role as the artist for Fae, that of the original version of Fae that's currently in the game. And she looks pretty much exactly the same. I mean, of course, she has additional robes on, and of course, she sprouted wings in her infantry form. She is an infantry dragon here, but she does have the wings exposed, which is kind of cool. You do have the more ornate trappings of the robe. It has a gold lining to it. There's more color in general. And you have some, again, a little bit of feather integration, I think, to the actual cloak. The bag she has is really cute. It has a little butterfly design around the edge and the lining, which is nice. Again, it's colorful, it's whimsical, it's very fitting for Fae, but her standing stance here looks like exactly the same almost as her original art. So I feel like it leaves a little bit more to be desired, but it's fine. I mean, it's Fae. Alright, so let's take a look at Fae here, just as we are getting the remix version of Legendary Tiki, so I guess it's appropriate. Dazzling Breath for the weapon, 16 Might Dragon weapon, grants attack plus 3 if foe initiates combat or if foe's HP is greater than or equal to 75%. At start of combat, inflicts -5 to all of the enemy's stats during combat, and foe cannot make a follow-up attack. And also, if unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, inflict special cooldown charge -1 on foe per attack. Only highest value does not stack, and then adaptive damage at the end there. Alright, relatively straight and to the point. Attack plus 3, that's fine. Condition, not too bad at all. If the foe's HP is greater than or equal to 75% in any engagement, they get a -5 to all their stats. Or if she's enemy phasing at all, regardless of the health threshold of the enemy, she gets -5 to all of the enemy's stats. So that's a nice little differential of a stat bonus or debuff to the enemy in combat. And foe can't make a follow-up attack. I mean, that's solid. And then this separate portion of the weapon if she's within 2 spaces of an ally. Once again, incredibly easy condition to meet. Inflict special cooldown charge -1 on foe per attack. So she has a guard effect added onto it. So it's all about neutralizing the enemy's ability to do damage. They can't do follow-up attacks. They can't get special charge. And then she gets adaptive damage built into the weapon as a Dragon Breath weapon. That's fine. It has a bunch of solid things in it. A nice little stat boost or stat debuff on the enemy, but which is the equivalent of a stat boost for her. So overall, not too bad. Alright, now Life Unending. This is interesting here. It's a 5 cooldown special. At start of turn 1, grant special cooldown count -5. Okay? When special triggers, if unit's HP is greater than 1, and foe would reduce unit's HP to 0, unit survives with 1 HP. After combat, if unit's special trigger restores 99 HP. This is just a straight revive. So this is basically a miracle that insta-charges on turn 1, and after it insta-charges on turn 1, once it procs, she gets all of her health back. So it gives her another life, basically. That is pretty interesting. Obviously, the big weakness to this is if she gets doubled, and the first attack would reduce her health down to 1. But of course, her Dazzling Breath prevents follow-up attacks, so that kind of works in tandem. There is some synergy built in there. Obviously, another weakness would be skills that essentially reset the special count. That would render the first portion of the special to be greatly diminished in effectiveness. And essentially, as long as the special procs, I mean, it's just an enhanced Miracle, because Miracle has a 5-turn special as well. Now, I will, of course, highlight that it says once per map, because I do think that, if not with the current set of skills available, she's infantry. So she has access to all kinds of CD reduction skills and things like that. You know, if not for the skills that are currently in the game, but with skills that are have yet to be introduced into the game, there's probably going to be additional ways to reduce cooldown. So they wanted to make sure that she couldn't just endlessly loop and revive forever and be unkillable, essentially, if you didn't have like specific skills with you. So like specific ways to reset the cooldown or something like that. And you could also neutralize that healing effect by giving that no heal debuff on her, right? You could also inflict that on her, and that would effectively neutralize the heal. But they wanted to make sure that you couldn't just loop this skill over and over and over again. So that's why it says once per map, and I think the once per map only applies to the actual heal. The rest of it's sustained. So after the first proc of Life Unending, it just is a regular miracle at that point. Because at that point it still has the first, not the first part, the middle, I guess, part of it, when special triggers and unit's HP is greater than 1, and foe would reduce unit's HP to 0, so foe survives with 1 HP. So that's essentially what the skill is after the first proc. Here's another new skill, Distant Stance for the A slot. Unit can counterattack regardless of foe's range. If foe initiates combat, grants res +5 to unit during combat. Alright, that is a tier 4 distant counter. That is very, very good. Just has the built-in distant... Alright, that is a tier 4 distant counter. That is very, very good. Has the distant counter, plus res +5. Dragon's Ire 3 for the B slot. If unit's HP is greater than or equal to 50% and foe initiates combat, neutralizes effects that prevent unit's follow-up attacks, and unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack. And so that, of course, makes sure that Fae does double when she enemy phases. That's going to be very, very potent. She just has to be enemy phasing, has to be above or equal to 50% HP. Life Unending is going to ensure that she has that if it does proc, and she'll have it on the following turn. Defense Res Menace for the C slot. At start of turn, if unit is within 4 spaces of a foe, inflicts Defense Res -6 on closest foes through their next actions, and grants Defense Res +6 to unit for 1 turn. The Menace skills are pretty awesome. The 4-space range basically obviates the whole weakness with the Threaten skills, because you have to be in enemy range in order to activate those, so you don't have to worry about that with Menace skills. She gets defense boost, so it's going to bolster her sustain, and then the minus debuff to the enemy is going to ensure that she does more damage on that enemy phase as well. The biggest drawback I find to the Menace skills is just the fickle placement with it. Since it only affects the closest enemies, if you have enemies within 3 spaces and 4 spaces, it'll only inflict the debuff on the enemies within 3 spaces. So despite the additional range, you have to be very, very careful with placement. Well, if you want to have strategically the enemies that are going to be engaging and all the enemies that are engaging with that debuff. But it certainly works in tandem. I think it's certainly synergistic with the rest of her kit here. Yeah, she's got some really, really great skills with this Distant Stance and Dragon's Ire and the Dazzling Breath all together. Those all support Life Unending in a lot of ways too. So I think it works really well, the kit as a whole. I will say that Life Unending, You know, the whole, like, insta-charge on turn 1 and then the heal after the first proc. It's a nice gimmick. I do like that. It essentially, you know, barring any specific counters to that, it guarantees that she's going to revive and she's going to have a completely new life to work with. And again, that's going to be pretty annoying with certain support. Certain supports that'll heal her so that she's above the 1 HP. Certain support that will increase her ability to get special charge. She is infantry, so she has access to a lot of those tools with her allies. And then the seal could be something like a breath, but it could also be something like a mystic boost that just gives her some heal. I mean, either way, you know, she needs basically to perform at her best. She needs to have the ability to heal, and she needs to have the ability to have additional special charge. And whether that comes from her allies or whether that comes from certain skills that you tack onto her, either way, that's going to help her excel. But good skills, and overall, I think that she's pretty solid. I mean, all things considered. I think it could be a really annoying gimmick with certain team compositions. I do really like the glowing effect of her chicken dragon sprite. It's very cute, I have to say. So Fae is going to come alongside both Niffle and Uller. That's kind of an interesting combination. So Fae is going to be obviously the marquee character. Niffle is very new, but she's actually not a legendary or mythic hero, despite all sensibilities and logic. As a goddess, or god, or whatever, as some sort of a deity, she's actually not a mythic hero. And so because of that, her value is a little bit diminished, I think, on this banner. She's pretty new, she's awesome to have, but at the same time, she's not limited. Uller is, and she's pretty recent, so that it's still a strong showing for blue overall. For red here, we've got Mirabilis, we've also got Roy, and we've got Nyx. Red is okay. Mirabilis and Roy are both legendary/mythic heroes. Roy definitely on the more aged side of things, although I suspect he could get a remix pretty soon, so that, you know, that's something to consider. But then you could just go for him on a remix banner, right? And then Mirabilis, she's a pretty good utility unit, very, very tanky, has that healing support, so she has a lot of things going for her. You had the opportunity to spark for her. She was one of those legendary/mythic heroes that you could spark for. So because of that, I think a lot of people probably already have her, but at the same time, she's not a bad pickup. Nyx is a powerhouse that can deal an absolute truck ton of damage as a red tome user. But she's also not limited in any capacity, so I think that does depreciate. But at the same time, she's pretty new. I mean, again, similar to Niffle, it hasn't been too long since she's been introduced. For green, we've got Hel, we've got Charlotte, and we've got Triandra. So Triandra, I would say, is comparable to Mirabilis in utility in that she's a flying dancer. At least overall, maybe even a little bit better. Hel is still a very strong candidate, a very strong mythic hero. And you got Charlotte, who is it's a powerful player-phasing infantry axe unit, relatively recent, but also not limited. So that's fine. I would actually probably place green above red in my own assessment. And then for colorless, we have Legendary Alm, we have Mila, and we have Duma. Now for colorless, despite them all being limited, they're also all a little bit on the older side, a little bit outdated. But I will say that all of them have unique utility as well. Like Mila has Mila's turn wheel, as also that wide-ranging buff, and then Duma has that unique stuff with ether raids. But despite that, I would probably place it about on par with the red here, maybe a little bit above it, but if so, not really by much, and it's going to depend on what your barracks needs, what you're missing, what gaps you have in the unit archetypes that you have in your barracks. So if I had to rank the colors on this banner, I would probably put blue at the top, I would put green, I think, just under that, and I think red and colorless are both under those, but kind of tied a little bit. I have to be honest, I'm a little underwhelmed by the selection here. I don't think this is honestly a great banner to pull for. Just overall, in evaluating all of the selection here and kind of the ups and downs of each of the colors, I personally think this is definitely one that you can skip, unless you're a diehard fan of any of the units, of course. The general recommendation is that if you like or would be perfectly fine with at least 2 of the units on a color, it is okay to snipe on that color. But otherwise, you want to wait, because your odds of getting a particular unit or an individual unit rate is lower than on a standard banner. So that being said, for me personally, I'm not really that excited about Fae as a legendary hero. I'm not like super excited about what she does either, even though I think it is interesting and I think people can play around with it. I think it can invoke some interesting strategies and some fun strategies. But that being said, I think I'm probably just going to do the first circle and dip. I'm not going to go in on this banner. There isn't anybody on this banner that I really desperately need. So I think that's probably going to be my game plan. But let me know in the comments below if you are excited for Fae, if you're excited for any of the other units making a reappearance, and who your targets are going to be if so. Hopefully you all enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to leave us a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more Fire Emblem Heroes content. We thank you all so much for watching and for taking time out of your day to spend with us. We really do appreciate it. Certainly hoping you're all staying safe, healthy, secure, and united out there, and wishing the very, very best for you, your family, and your friends. And until next time, let's protect those skies.